Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most strategic companies in the world, a name that doesn't appear on consumer products, but without it, there would be no smartphones, no data centers, no AI. We're talking about ASML, the Dutch tech giant. With a monopoly on the most complex machines ever built by humans' extreme ultraviolet lithography systems, this company has become the linchpin of the entire semiconductor industry, and lately, it's been caught in the middle of a global geopolitical storm. So how is ASML doing? How is it navigating trade wars, export bans, and the immense pressure from world powers? Let's find out. ASML is based in Veldhoven, a quiet Dutch town about 2 hours south of Amsterdam. From the outside, it looks like any high-tech campus. But behind those walls are some of the most sophisticated clean rooms and engineering facilities on the planet. Here, hundreds of engineers in sterile suits assemble the machines that power the world's most advanced chips. Each machine, called an EUV scanner, costs around $400 million, is the size of a shipping container, and requires several cargo planes just to be transported. And ASML is the only company on Earth that can make them. That alone puts it in a very unique position, especially as the world becomes more dependent on semiconductors. For everything from electric vehicles and smartphones to artificial intelligence and quantum computing. But this unique position also makes ASML vulnerable. Over the past year, geopolitical tensions have reached new heights. Just last month, former U.S. President Donald Trump proposed a 50% tariff on European imports, something that would directly affect ASML's shipments to American clients. Only 2 days later, the policy was paused. Around the same time, the Dutch foreign minister was in Beijing, negotiating the loosening of export controls for ASML's machines, while back home in the Netherlands, the government collapsed, throwing further uncertainty over future trade talks. These aren't minor issues. They directly affect ASML's ability to operate, to grow, and to remain the technological leader it is today. Christophe Fouquet, ASML's new CEO, knows this better than anyone. At 52, the French-born executive has spent more than a decade at the company. Soft-spoken and calm in public, Fouquet is one of the few leaders in the semiconductor world willing to speak out against the way governments are using trade policy to control technology. In a recent interview, he admitted that many of the problems ASML faces are outside of its control. But he's also clear blocking access to tools will only push rivals to develop alternatives. In his words, those you try to stop will only try harder. And that's exactly what's happening with China. China has begun investing billions into its domestic semiconductor industry. It's recruiting former ASML employees, building out national lithography programs, and stockpiling older generation machines before export bans take full effect. Huawei, one of China's biggest tech companies, is rumored to be building its own lithography systems, though most experts agree that it could take years, even decades, before Chinese companies catch up to ASML's capabilities. That's because these machines aren't just advanced, they're mind-bendingly complex. They involve physics, optics, materials science, and a global supply chain that spans Europe, Asia, and North America. Each system contains thousands of parts, many of them sourced from niche suppliers. A single EUV machine uses lasers to fire 50,000 times per second at molten tin droplets to generate the kind of light that can etch transistors smaller than a virus onto silicon wafers. This is what makes modern chips possible. Still, the political pressure continues to mount. In 2019, the Trump administration successfully lobbied the Dutch government to block the export of ASML's EUV machines to China. Under the Biden administration, those restrictions were expanded to include older Dove machines as well. This has already had a tangible effect. Just a year ago, nearly half of ASML's quarterly revenue came from Chinese customers. That number is now projected to drop to around 25%. And while ASML still ships to Taiwan, South Korea, and the U.S., losing such a large share of the Chinese market is not a small blow. That's why ASML is investing heavily in its presence in Washington, Brussels, and The Hague. Fouquet has expanded the company's lobbying operations and is meeting regularly with policymakers to explain the stakes. His message is simple: when you try to contain one country, you risk slowing down progress for everyone. Global supply chains are tightly interwoven, and imposing export bans only raises the cost of innovation, making it harder for everyone to compete. Even NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang recently said that limiting access to AI, chips, and tools for China is a mistake. He believes it only accelerates China's domestic efforts and undermines the U.S. position globally. Despite these challenges, ASML is growing. In 2023, the company posted record revenue of 28.3 billion euros, and by 2030, it expects that number to rise to between 44 and 60 billion. That's largely thanks to the AI boom. Companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google are building massive data centers full of advanced beast chips, all of which require ASML's machines to be produced. Even if the AI hype cools, the demand for semiconductors will only increase as more industries go digital. From automotive to healthcare, from energy to finance, chips are becoming the backbone of modern life. But that doesn't mean ASML can relax. In the background, countries are pouring money into national semiconductor strategies. The U.S. has its CHIPS Act. Europe has its own funding programs. And China continues to subsidize its local champions. For ASML, the question is no longer whether its machines are needed. The question is whether it will still be allowed to sell them everywhere. That's why Christophe Fouquet is pushing back. He's not just a CEO now. He's a diplomat, a strategist, a guardian of Europe's most important tech company. As he looks out over the cranes, building ASML's new headquarters, he remains cautiously optimistic. The semiconductor industry, he says, is only at the beginning of its AI-driven expansion, but he also knows that the path forward will be anything but smooth. We can't afford to be naive, he says. This industry has become strategic for everyone in every country. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, give it a like and consider subscribing for more stories. At the intersection of technology, geopolitics, and innovation, drop a comment below. Do you think ASML can hold on to its monopoly in the coming decade? Or will the world eventually catch up? See you in the next one.